Today I got to experience the Charleston Riot as it happened 150 years ago.
And Union soldiers in the area who were home on leave. Recent tensions between some of the more militant and vocal Copperheads and the Union soldiers who sought to control them had been brewing for weeks. Now, fueled by whiskey and bravado, these tensions finally boiled over at 3 in the afternoon on March 28, 1864. Present in the courthouse that day were Democratic Judge Charles H. Constable and Democratic Congressman John Eden. Judge Constable was presiding over a trial, and Congressman Eden was scheduled to give a speech at a rally on the courthouse lawn. The usual officers of the court, attorneys, litigants, the grand jury, and townspeople were all filling the courthouse and the streets. Every livery barn and wagon yard was full, and the square was crowded. Democratic Sheriff John H. O'Hare was present on the square for his court duties. With him were Barry Hanks, Jesse Swango, his brothers James and Henderson O'Hare, John and William Frazier, George Teal, young Ewing Winkler, B.F. Toland, Ben Dukes, Robert Winkler, and Miles Murphy. Would this group please raise your hands and wave widely? Also in town, with an ox wagon, was a group of young Peace Democrats and Copperheads from Edgar County. They were said to be heading west to the gold mines, but just as easily might have been leaving the area to escape the draft. They were Nelson Wells, Frank Wells, Green Hanks, and Ogden and Nelson O'Hare, and John Galbraith. Would you please raise your hands? And other citizens known to be on the square that day were William Gilman, Joe Hutchison, Martin and Marcus Hill, David Johnson, and shopkeeper James McCrory. And Union soldiers Oliver Salee, Alfred Swim, James Goodrich, Levi Friesner, William Hart, and John Neer were located also on the square, and they're going to raise their hands now. Now, due to the rapidly deteriorating mood of the crowd, the Democratic rally, along with Congressman John Eden's speech, was canceled. Well, soon after this, the noon train arrived from Paris, Illinois, and Union officers, Colonel Greenville Mitchell and Dr. Schubel York of the 54th Illinois Regiment, accompanied by about 15 soldiers, went from the depot to the square in order to see about their men. And could we have the soldiers and Colonel Mitchell raise his hand there on the steps of the courthouse? Well, about 3 in the afternoon, Sergeant Oliver Salee, a Union soldier, and Nelson Wells, a young Copperhead, were the first to exchange gunfire. And they will raise their hands. Both men were vying for the attention of the same girl. Well, after the sound of the first shots, the shooting became random and chaotic. Nelson Wells had missed Oliver Salee, but a bullet fired from another direction had found the mark and killed Sergeant Salee. Nelson Wells was hit by a bullet thought to be return fire from Sergeant Salee before he died. Wells then ran across the street where he died in the doorway of a grocery store. Now, meanwhile, inside the courthouse, Judge Charles H. Constable, who you see with his hand raised, had leapt up off the bench and beat a hasty retreat out the side door to the relative safety of a nearby alley. It has been said how a man of his portly form could have vacated the judge's bench, come down from the courtroom, and got there so soon after the firing began, never ceased to be a wonder. Major Shubal York of the 54th Illinois was shot from behind in the courthouse as he was leaving the courthouse, and he died almost instantly. At the outbreak of the trouble, Sheriff John H. O'Hare, his whiskers nicked by a stray bullet, burst out of the courtroom and joined in the fray. And he can be seen standing, waving his hand at the current moment. Yes. During the confusion, the Copperheads ran to their wagons, retrieved rifles hidden under the straw, and gathered behind a small building on the southeast side of the courthouse. It is thought that they then stepped out and fired indiscriminately at the soldiers, most of whom were unarmed. John Fraser, a farmer, who is going to identify himself currently, I believe. He is on his horse. He had mounted his horse and he started for home, but he returned when he heard the shooting. He rode around the square, shooting at the soldiers and shouting encouragement to the Copperheads. Now, in all, over 100 shots were fired in the few minutes that the fighting lasted. As soon as the shooting stopped, Sheriff O'Hare, along with about 20 of the Copperheads, gathered near the southeast corner of the square. Ben Dukes ran up to a man on a horse and yelled, "Horse or your life." The startled citizen, who could be seen, well, we're not seeing him, but we can hear him say, "Horse, of course." The retreating Copperheads took Union soldier Levi Friesner as hostage. John Cooper was heard exhorting his fellow Copperheads to return to the fray. The commotion caught the attention of a wounded Union soldier who raised up from the sidewalk and shot him dead. John Jenkins, a Republican and Union supporter, was killed by one of the bullets meant for Mr. Cooper. At this point, the surviving Copperheads fled Charleston, cutting the telegraph line as they went. They were pursued by Union soldiers and citizens. Ladies and gentlemen, in a few moments, the official sesquicentennial reenactment and observance of the Charleston Riot will begin.
Mobilize!
The reenactment is over now. And ladies and gentlemen, 1864 were Colonel Greenville M. Mitchell, commanding officer of the 54th Illinois.